What would be one word to describe this journey?
Heartache.
Enriching.
Gratitude.
Unapologeticness.
Hope.
Elevating.
Passion.
Resilience.
I say transformation.
Determination.
Intention.
My word is compassion.
Rebirth.
Intentional.
It's bigger than just walking down your probation and parole. It's changing your mindset, lifestyle, and never returning to prison again. It's the reentry journey with Cardale Sims.
All right. We are back with another episode of the Reentry Journey. I am your host, Cardale Sims. And before we get into our guest today, I'd like to say thank you and that this episode is brought to you by I'm So. Inspire, motivate, and support others. That's what I'm all about. That's what I do. Shout out to DJ Walker and the I'm So crew and team, and appreciate the love and the support.
I'm So is an acronym for inspire, motivate, and support others. Also, I'm so in the dictionary or English terms is to a great extent, beyond normal. And I took that and spun it in a positive way to make it to where everything you do is extra. Everything you do is above average. It's going hard, is striving to be the very best version of yourself.
Well, today I'd like to welcome to the Reentry Journey our guest. Our guest today is Miss Alexzandria Cormier-Hill. She's the founder and the chief empathy officer of Welcm, a digital platform that empowers returning citizens to live their best lives by sending them warm welcomes of motivation and reentry advice from a community that cares about their success. Marketing is her professional passion. In her 10 plus years of marketing career, working everywhere from nonprofits, startups, and school system, Alexzandria leverages data, empathy, and storytelling to connect people to the products and services that they need to enhance their lives. After watching Ava, I can't think of her, say her last name quite well. You want to say it for me?
Yeah, Ava DuVernay.
Ava DuVernay. Mm-hmm. When they see us, she applied the same approach to creating Welcm. So utilizing the lessons that she learned from her organizational leadership master's program at Gonzaga University. That's crazy. One of my basketball coaches, when I used to play basketball, he played in Gonzaga.
Nice.
He's a Gonzaga alumni.
Nice.
Alex volunteered with different reentry organizations and listened to the challenges individuals impacted by the justice system experience. Gleaning from the story shared with her, she set out to co-create a safe space and robust ecosystem of support with and for formerly incarcerated individuals that enables them to receive the help, hope, and happiness they need to live a fulfilling life. Welcm is the first step to making this happen. So let's welcome to the Reentry Journey, Miss Alexzandria Cormier-Hill. Welcome to the Reentry Journey. How are you doing today?
Hi, I am great. Excited to talk to you.
I really want to say thank you first off for being a guest on the Reentry Journey, willing to come on, share your story, and talk about the amazing things that you're doing with Welcm in the reentry space and the importance of Welcm. So once again, thanks a lot for being a guest. So what originally inspired you to start Welcm and focus on supporting returning citizens?
It was something that kind of came out of the blue. It literally came in a dream. I was minding my business, sleep, got woke up out of my sleep and had a feeling about helping people who were either incarcerated or previously incarcerated. And I didn't know where the thought came from. I had been watching some movies before, so I thought maybe that's where it came from. So I just went back to sleep afterwards. But then when I woke up and I just kept having like that reoccurring thought to like do something. And I was like, well, I don't know where this is coming from. I've never worked in the criminal justice space. at the time I was trying to amp up to do my own like marketing boutique firm. So that's what I was focusing on. And this thought just kept like repeating and repeating over and over again. So I was like, well, Laura, clearly you're trying to tell me something. And I don't really know what it is, but I tried to like press into it. And so once I did, had some quiet time, God had led me to a scripture in Habakkuk. And I think everybody knows it, which is like, well, a lot of people know it. I'm not saying all people, but the verse says, write the vision and make it plain. And so we typically just know that verse. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to write what vision, what we talking about? And so he had me read the rest of the chapter. And it was all about writing a vision that basically was speaking to people who were oppressing other folks and taking advantage of them and incarcerating people and not giving them like just consequences for the crimes that they committed. And so it was like, if you didn't correct that, then God was going to lash out. So you needed to like get that in order. And I had never read that part of the chapter before, or at all for that matter. And so that kind of stuck with me. And then so I'm like, all right, so this is clearly a justice focus that you want me to concentrate on. How do you want me to go about doing it? And so I had like another quiet moment where God was telling me to do something with technology. And I was like, now, Lord, look, I don't know nothing about the justice system. I don't know nothing about technology. So what we doing?
What we doing here? What's going on?
Yeah, I did not know. So once I sat down, I was like, since I don't know anything about either one of these spaces, like you're going to have to like guide me. And then once I kind of leaned into that prayer, then things just started to like fall into place.
And did you know anybody that was impacted by the justice system, incarcerated or anything?
Nothing.
Oh, wow.
Like nothing. I think so. Maybe like 2 weeks after that prayer, again, I was minding my business. I was going to it was like a market. I'm located in Houston. So we have the Buffalo Soldier Museum down here in Houston, and they had like a market for Black vendors. So I went there just to do some shopping for some people and stopped by a table that said Pure Justice. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's not like the rest of the vendors here. Let me stop by and see what they're about. So, and they had books laid out, and I love books, as you can see. I stopped by and was just asking, like, what do they do? What are they there for? And a guy named Roshan was saying how he was previously incarcerated, and now he's out and he's trying to tell his story about how being incarcerated like impacted him, but also how he's trying to impact people in a positive way. And I was just like, okay, I didn't know where to look. This is a good starting place. And then as I was talking to him, someone else came along and just joined the conversation that we were having. And he also just happened to, I think it had just been released, maybe like, I may be exaggerating. I think it was like maybe like a few weeks before he was at that event. Right. And so we got to talking, and then I think I ended up signing up to like attend one of the Pure Justice events. I saw the guy at the table at one of those events. We exchanged numbers, and then we ended up meeting up somewhere else, and I was telling him about my idea and just wanted to learn about like what his process was and what his experience was. And as I was telling him my idea, he very graciously was like, this isn't going to work. You need to rename this, rethink that. And I could have been offended if I was like married to the idea. But I was like, eventually I want whatever I'm building to work for the people that I'm giving it to. So I might as well listen. And so he pushed me on the technical aspects of it. He pushed me on the name, and then just gave me some really, really good insights on like things that I had never considered. And that's kind of how things got going. As soon as I leaned in, just people started coming into play.
So to even take these steps that you want to take, you know, especially being involved in the justice system and not having a direct family member or being directly affected by it yourself, that takes some sort of empathy, right? So how do you leverage empathy, and the data? And also I see you talking about storytelling as well, because I love storytelling. I think the ability to be able to share and tell your story will open up a lot of doors. It has for me. So how do you leverage the empathy, the data, the storytelling in your work with Welcm?
Mm. So I think it all like started with empathy and me having a posture of just being open minded and understanding. And so I think I guess like my first inkling of that came when I was watching Ava's DuVernay's like When They See Us, and just seeing how um after a few of the guys got out and they were just trying to live regular lives, like there was just a whole bunch of stuff coming at them with them just trying to do regular things, and I just got really frustrated. I'm just like, how are you supposed to live your life if you're having to deal with all these extra obstacles that other people don't necessarily have to deal with? And you're trying to be on the straight and narrow, and you're trying to do things right. And even in the process of you trying to do right, like you're still doing things wrong. And it just frustrated me. I remember sitting in my kitchen like crying afterwards just because I didn't know what to do with all like the rage of it all. Um, and so after that, I think in running into Roshan, who's the co-founder of Pure Justice, and then the guy who helped me with like coming up with the name or changing my name, and then talking about the technical aspects of it. His name is Quincy, um, and just hearing their stories, like it allowed me to see that they were people who just happened to make a mistake that was also impacted by the circumstances that they were in. And so everybody that they pointed me to afterwards, it also had the same kind of like character traits, like you happen to make a mistake and now people are trying to define you by that thing when that's not the totality of who you are. And it made me think of how there's a lot of things that I don't necessarily think are positive, but I would hate for someone to like define me by those few things when I know I've done more and I'm also capable of more, and how frustrating that may be when you are just trying to live your everyday life and people won't let you forget that. So, and I that angered me. So I think I wanted to make sure that if I did have a platform, that it would allow for people to hear from folks who have had the same experiences, but see themselves as more than just their mistakes. But then um, it also allows them to see themselves as more than just what they did, or what was imposed on them too, because not everybody's like guilty of whatever they went in for. So that's a whole nother
Right.
situation. So
Yeah, that
that's
is.
kind of how yeah. So that's how I baked in empathy. And then in terms of the data, the more stories that I heard, the more I started picking up on certain trends in terms of like what they might need. So a lot of things that I didn't necessarily think of as like a routine. I am trying to get better at having a routine, but from what I heard when people were incarcerated, they had like a routine that was like clockwork. And then when you get out, you don't have that anymore. And that can be a hindrance. Whereas I think people on the outside think, oh, you have all this freedom, but freedom isn't necessarily seen the same for people who have like a routine that they're going on, and helps them keep their day like at a certain pace. So I was like, that's something I did not think of.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah. A routine is very important, especially in prison. It makes your
yeah.
day go by faster. You got a routine, it makes your day go by faster. I adapted the same. When I came out this last time, I went to prison 5 times. Took me 5 times to get it right. So when I was prepared, the last time I got out of prison, routine was one of the biggest things for me, because I wanted to
Mm,
make sure I had that structure and to be able to make it through the day and not figure out what I'm going to do with the time that I normally would be spending on the block. Like I spent um, 20 hours out, 24 hours a day, majority on the block selling dope, gang banging, and crack for almost 20 years, it seemed like. And so the routine was important for me because now I had some kind of structure to follow, you know, and I picked that up from being inside of prison, you know. And so the routine, a lot of people don't think about how important it is to have a routine, but for those of us that's coming out of prison that are used to engaging in criminal activity all day, that having that set routine is really a structure for us as well.
Can I ask a question? Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How did you I guess like translate that routine that you had when you were inside to the outside when you could have also gone back into the routine of doing the same old, same old?
I mean, because like my routine, there was almost the same type of routine. So my routine on the inside was, soon as I woke up, which would be 5 o'clock in the morning, I said thank you. I said an affirmation, and then I had a vision board on my wall. Instead of pictures, I had a vision board. So I would find something on that vision board that was part of my vision, and I would lock in on that. And I had a job. So after breakfast, you know, 5 o'clock, wake you up for breakfast. You go to breakfast, we come back, getting ready for camp to clear and all that, breakfast to clear. I'm going straight to work. So I worked up to lunch. After lunch, went back to work for a couple of hours, and then when after shift changed, you went to dinner. So from breakfast to dinner, I worked, which was on a regular day. You want to be working during them hours anyway. Let's just say 9 to 5, or 8 to 4. And so then in the evening, I'm either in the library and I'm reading or I'm watching DVDs, or I'm working out and I'm playing basketball, which I consider the working out. And so once that's over with, by the time lockdown done, that's a full day for me. I done, because I was a tutor, so I tutored in the morning, and so because I worked in education, if they had any kind of programs that I haven't already took, the head of education in the program, he was my boss, so he let me take one of the programs, and so I might be working and tutoring in hotel lodging, because that was my main tutor, because I hotel hospitality and lodging. So it was a certified class from the American Lodging Institute, and it was a college course from a college in town. So when you got done, you can get certified as a bellhop. I got certified as a concierge. You can, you know, and so I would tutor all the other classes that came in and did that in the morning. And so then on my way, like a year before I got out, I was taking ServSafe in the afternoon. So basically I would be in education all morning, all the way up to the dinner. And then at the dinner, I'm either in the library or I'm in the gym. And that's the days is going by just like that. And I wasn't off in the prison getting in no trouble, because previous to that, the other 4 times I went to prison, I ain't had no schedule. I was just in prison, just caught up in everything.
Yeah. I have a follow-up question, but I want to be mindful.
No, go ahead. No, it's okay. Go ahead. It's all right.
I was also, and it leads to, I guess, a way in which Welcm works. So I was going to ask, how important was it for you to start your day with the thank you and the affirmation and like the vision?
That was the most important part. The thank you was the gratitude. The affirmation was me. If I only said I only said one affirmation the whole time, because it took me to about like 6 or 7 months before I actually had faith. And so what I mean by that is I was saying it and I was believing it. And that was just, you know, perhaps what I think this might be true. I might be greater than this situation. But why do I keep finding myself in this situation? So you got them comeback questions, you know. I am greater than this situation. Well, why you keep finding? And so after about 6 months, it went from I am to really knowing that I'm greater than this situation, you know. And after, you know, I've been educating myself, reading all these books and putting together these plans and reflecting on my life. And I'm like, man, I'm greater than this being in prison. Like, you greater than this. And so then from that point on, it was walking, being that greatness. So I like to say it's 3 steps: belief, faith, and fruition. Thinking, to knowing, to being. And so once I started being greater than the situation that I was in, that allowed me to really put the vision out there and start and everything on the vision board, whether it was wanting to be a business owner, wanting to be a speaker, a life coach. I didn't know nothing about these things, but I knew this is what I wanted to do. And so I would have people send me in all the information or order books or go to the library, and I would just write down this information step by step on how to become it. And so once I would release, I had basically had a step-by-step blueprint for what I become all the way up to today. And it took me 6 years to make it happen.
Okay. First of all, I love the way you storytell. And I didn't mention this earlier. So in like learning about this space, I also listened to this podcast. It was like the first one that I actually found.
Oh, I appreciate it.
So I learned a lot about people who had lived experience, but also people who were like doing the work to like help. And so it was like ground zero for me in terms of like educating myself and like what was happening and the different stories that I probably wasn't hearing from just like mainstream news and stuff like that. So I asked because I asked about the routine and I asked about the vision, because essentially that's what like Welcm tries to provide for people who receive our messages. So like the premise is we get a lot of different people who work in the reentry space to send messages. So record like 2 to 3 minute videos, not anything too long because our attention spans aren't that long.
Right.
And it's something nice to receive like a video or an audio from like an actual person who has either like lived your experience or something similar to it, or has been around people who understand you and then are like giving you and feeding you information and feeding you motivation and feeding you like different narratives of how your life could play out. And so I wanted to make sure that I am collecting like videos from people who lead with empathy. And then the way it works is once I get the videos in, I schedule those videos to go out, like one video that goes out every morning at the same time, like before you even start your day. So the first thing that you receive in the morning is someone who like is not only saying that they believe in you, but they're giving you the tools to like prove it. Like, okay, this is what you can use to like better your life. Here's like some nuances that you may not have considered because we understand like it can be a little difficult. So here's how you can overcome it. And here's like some action steps. And then it's only like 3 minutes. You do what you will with the information, but like you continually get people who are like feeding into you over and over and over and over and over again. And for folks who, and you also are receiving these messages via text. So initially I had the idea to make an app and Quincy said no. He was like, if you don't already like updating your phone and you've never been in like, and you're already having issues trying to figure it out, can you imagine someone trying to come out, learn how to use a phone plus learn how to use an app? More likely than not, they're not going to do it. And I was like, a concept. I didn't think about that. But he was like, but oftentimes we communicate either via like phone call or like a text. He was like, sooner or later, someone's going to have to get a phone because you have to keep up with family. You got to go on job interviews. You got to keep up with your parole officer. Like you're going to have a phone. And so he was like, it might be better to just like text them the information rather than try to have them like download. Yeah.
I think the text is the best because even like you saying emails or something like that, you're going to respond quicker to a text than you will an email or anything else. And
that's what he said. So I think initially when I was not going to do the app and I was like, I could do email. And then he was like, how many times do you check your email? And I was like, touche.
Exactly. But somebody sending that text, you're like, oh, who's this? Yeah.
Exactly. So trying to go ahead.
No, I'm just going to ask, in this process, has there been any obstacles that had came up that you have faced? in the process of building Welcm?
I think as someone who's not a techie, just trying to figure out the best way to put it together has been challenging. And I think also trying to figure out like what information do I want to share and how to kind of like bring all the necessary information into one space. Reentry information is scattered everywhere, and it differs from just, it can be like from county to county, things just are just all over the place. And so I think in trying to figure out how do I elevate the most important information, I can't find it. So it takes like, it can take forever just to find like one piece of information that's buried under like a website on the very bottom of the page, or even trying to find different reentry programs. I think a lot of reentry programs are nonprofits, and so a lot of them also may not have like websites. And so like I want to elevate the people doing the work, but I can't find them either. So it takes like talking to someone who knows someone who knows someone in order to like get those contacts. And so I think the biggest part, or the biggest two challenges that I've had is one, putting together the technology to make sure that as soon as someone engages with the platform, it's easy for them. Like I don't want it to be any confusion as much as I can control. But then also once they sign up, like am I giving them information that is relevant, that is easy to implement, and that is also like uplifting? So I think that's another thing that I've been trying to be mindful of. A lot of the information that I have, I think it's important to address the realities of the reentry process without, how do I say? I want to have as much positive framework as possible. So like, yes, you go through these things, but here are some positive ways in which you can implement this. And here are some different people who are in your corner to help you make that happen. Here are some different practices that you can do. Here are some things that you can like read or like listen to in the meantime that doesn't take a lot of effort for you. So just easy things that they can do to take like the next best step. Not all the steps at one time, just like whatever you need to do for that day. It makes it easy. So I think it's been kind of hard to dwindle that down. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a rough process, especially because each person has their own unique things that they might be challenging, right? Somebody's top three things might be housing, employment, transportation. Somebody else's might be mental health, life skills, or something else. They already might have these things. And then, like you said, it's hard to find the reentry organizations and things like that. But a good start to find them is on LinkedIn. That's a good start to find them. LinkedIn.
Yes.
For us, the reentry organizations, the people like me, reentry consultants, the specialists. Everybody's on. You can go check out go look at my followers and stuff. You'll find them all.
That's actually how I found out about the interview, because I listened to your podcast often, and then I think when I was trying to figure out who are some other people like this, I can't find them when I'm just like Googling essentially. So I just started to look on LinkedIn and then found different people, and I was like, oh, there's so many cool things happening in so many different spaces. And then it dawned on me to also follow you on LinkedIn. I'm like, I listen already. And that's how I ended up finding about the interview. So I was like, oh, a concept. Yeah. But it's been really helpful just to see all the things that are happening.
Yeah, it's a lot. I like it because I've seen a shift. Like I said, I've been in prison 5 times, so First time I went to prison was in 2000, and I got out in 2007. Wasn't no. This is when you got out, you took the lowest of the lowest job. Wasn't no felon friendly companies. Mostly back breaking line work for a manufacturer or something like that. That was it. I didn't even give myself a shot. I ain't with that type of work, so I'm just be honest. I went right back to the block. Four different times. But I always tell people the difference between when I got out in 2007, the first time I went to prison, and the difference between I got out in 2017, the last time I got in prison, is because it's a lot of resources and people fighting to give you that second chance, a third chance, or in my case, fifth chance. And that was the big difference. You had felon friendly companies. You had people that were giving you a chance, and you can start off in a good position. But even without me knowing that coming out, I already had my plan and stuff together. But I knew one thing: I wasn't taking no factory job. Like that was. I'm just being honest because that was big for me. Like I had problems and I had solutions. I had a list, problems and solutions. So like one of my problems was I knew once when I did get a job, I owed $699 a month in child support. So whatever money I was making, half of it was gonna get took. But the thing was, I knew I got ADHD, so I can't stand in one spot for no 8 hours, and this is gonna be a problem. And I don't like being enclosed in no factory because I've been closed in prison.
Yeah.
And so I knew I wanted to be a speaker, and working in the factory wasn't going to help me become a speaker. So when the halfway house did give me a list of jobs, they had a telemarketing job on there. Made a few dollars less than the factory job, but when I went over there, they had a morning meeting. They started their morning meeting off with affirmations. They had goals set. You set goals for yourself throughout the day of what you want to hit. And then, you go and you got the computer and you got the script. And then that was good for me. I feel like I worked in an office. And that's just how I started. So, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's just different things. It's the reentry, it's a per individual base. And so when you're building, like with my program, when you're building a program or platforms that's geared for returning citizens, sometimes we want to cover everything that we can because everybody's different. So you got to try to have the platforms that cover everybody, whoever comes to that platform need, right?
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
I think with Welcm, I think that's a great platform and important because what I see out of it, it offers a mentor in a sense. And that's the biggest thing that you need to have. I don't care what other things that you have. The biggest things to have is to have that mentor. Whether it's somebody who's been through it or somebody who's working in it. Because when I got out of prison, that was one thing that was lacking was the mentor. We seen them more over the last couple of years, but 6 years ago, it wasn't I didn't have no mentors. My mentor was waking up, watching Eric Thomas on YouTube or listen to Dr. Eric Thomas videos. So I think with waking up and you got a text with a important message and stuff like that, like, oh man, you starting your day off knowing somebody got your back, like waking up knowing that. So I applaud you for even creating this avenue, and I'm really can't wait to see where you take it.
Thank you.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say what you just described is exactly what I heard from just like other people, like I think when you were talking about or asked the question about like data, the thing that I heard the most was like, there is either I don't have like an immediate community that like believes in me, or I don't have like the proper mentorship, or if I do have that, it's not consistent. So another thing that kept coming up was that, a lot of the people who wanted the information, they would have to go to like these reentry programs, but they'd have to like find a way to get there. So if you didn't have a car, if you didn't have money for like public transit, then you would miss out on these like crucial like programmings that they would have. Or I think another thing was they wanted, if they could get to the programming, it would also be during hours they were supposed to be working or finding a job. So then yeah, so they had to like weigh the options, and of course like money in the job is like required, and so they would opt for that, but then you would miss out on these like other important skills. And then I think the other thing was like if you did like was able to like get a car or like borrow somebody's car, you're also at the mercy of them. So if they need the car back, like you need to leave to go get the car back so they can do whatever they need to do. So then you still miss out on stuff. And so I think that was another thing that kind of stood out to me, was like people were willing. It's just that the information wasn't accessible or as accessible as it could be. And so I was like, how do you create something that provides the information, gives the feel of like personalized mentorship, and is consistent? And I think that's how like the whole idea started to kind of meld together.
Okay. And so I see that you volunteered with different reentry organizations early on. What key lessons or insights did you gain from listening directly to formerly incarcerated individuals about the challenges that they face?
I think the biggest thing was going back to understanding the importance of like empathy. So a lot of times when I went into those spaces, I'd be also in functioning in empathy, you also have to address your biases and stigmas. That was my thing. So, you know, because I thought, and I think also, I don't want to put everything on the media, but a lot of times, like, we see certain people who look certain ways and they, like, you automatically, like, demonize them. And that's all you see. And they have, like, a certain look and a certain sound and certain characteristics. And so that's what you look for. But, like, a lot of the people, if not all the people that I engaged with, like, I wouldn't be able to tell. I had no idea. And it wasn't until I started having these one-on-one conversations and where I thank God that they felt comfortable enough to share their stories with me. I was like, wait, what? When did this happen? How did this happen? I would have never guessed. And so, and then once I came into the knowledge of like what it is that they did, and I oftentimes also don't like to go into it because I don't want them to have to like relive whatever like trauma that came with that. And I also don't want that to be the key identifier that I have. So I want to know them by who they are now. So I often don't dig back into whatever happened. But I think listening to the stories and then figuring out, like, once I have the information about whatever act that they did, I'm like, okay, how do I want to engage now? And so then I had to like lead with empathy. And I think empathy helped me have conversations that like made me curious. So I would ask about like how they navigated different situations. And that's when I came up around like all these other challenges that I would not have thought of. So like whether it was having a set routine, or again, like trying to get to reentry programs, but like you don't have a car, and then like all the different like logistics that happens with that, or even like different people telling me that they had to pay like different fees, even though they're not incarcerated. And we're like, why did you have to pay for, you already paid your debt? Like, why are you paying more?
Nah, that ain't how that worked. No, in Missouri, they make you pay $30 a month to be on parole once you get out, and if you're on probation. So when I got out of Missouri, at one point in time, I was on in Missouri. I was on city probation, state parole, and state probation. So I had to pay like $100 a month. I never paid them. They used to violate me. I used to go. I absconded all the time. I'm not paying that. I ain't paid them to this. Well, I paid them probably a few years ago. They took my taxes.
Yeah.
You pay 30.
That's crazy.
$30 a month. No, yeah, $30 a month. Yeah.
And that's, I think that it's also in having those conversations, I think it also made it more. It made it more top of mind for me. That what is it called? Like the collateral consequences that come with that. Like
yeah.
yes, are
Like
also
people,
like not fair. So it's just like you are setting people up to go back in rather
you
than
really
setting
are.
up systems to make sure people
Yeah.
stay out. And so I think in volunteering for the at these different places and hearing those stories, I think that became louder than whatever it is that they did. And so I'm just like, if you really want to if you really want to rehabilitate people, if you really want to have safe communities, if you really want to make sure that we're not like overpopulating like the jails, then you need to put systems and people and processes in place to make sure that that does not happen. And it was just either and I think also it brought to my attention all the different things that are wrong with the system and not necessarily with the people. And so then that became my focus. And so it's like, how do I partner with the people who know the system best? And I can just be the messenger or the person who just like the middleman who puts it together to make sure that I'm building something that helps you live better, but also it allows you to empower others to live better. I think in engaging with people at these different spaces, like it allowed me to see that like in real time. It allowed me to get rid of any biases or stigmas that I had. And then it actually allowed me to focus on the problem at hand, which is the system. And then even one of my friends, he was like, the system isn't broken, it is working exactly how it needs to. And I was like, a concept. So like, what would it look like for us to create a different system that counteracts that? And so just talking to people, and I really say co-creating, because I don't want to do this by myself. I don't want to do it by myself. I want to do it with people who know the space well and who are able to speak the language that I'm not. But then also I feel like it gives a sense of like, what is it called? The word that's coming to me is like agency. Like you feel like you own a part of this vision. And so that's also what I want too. So it's important for me to like have those conversations and like implement what I'm hearing and what they're thinking and what they think is would be the most helpful into what I'm doing, and kind of like checking that too. So if I feel like something's off, I have somebody gut checking and be like, does this sound right? I don't want this to be off because I need it to work. So
exactly. And so what are your future goals and plans for Welcm? How do you hope to continue evolving?
Yes. So Welcm is at its like infancy stage. So I like have the platform all set up. My goal is I have a handful of like messages right now, but my goal is to have 365 messages by April. One, because that's Second Chance Month, but then also it's because it's my birthday month. So it's like it would be my birthday present if I got 365 videos.
Okay.
Because that means that I would have actually maybe 366. So I think it's supposed to be a leap year next year, but it means that I will have a video for every single day of the year that people can like glean from, and they can also just like rewatch so many different people who are like feeding into them. So that's my ultimate goal. So that's for on the receiving end. And then my other goal is to make sure that the people who leave those 365 or 66 videos, they also have access to each other. So I'm reaching out to people who are in the space, and a lot of times you feel alone in the work and you don't know who's doing what, when they're doing it. And so it's to create an ecosystem across the people who are doing the work too, so they know who to partner with to make their efforts stronger. So it's to have these videos for the people who are receiving it, but also do like introductions to the people who are making the videos, so that way they have stronger communities and partnerships as well.
Okay. And are you looking for like different people that's all across the country, or?
So not in just one state, not in just like one area either. So when you go to the platform to leave a message, it has like different categories that you can leave it. So if you're like a spiritual leader, you can leave like some verses or like anything like that. If you are a mental health expert, you can leave advice on like practical ways to like make sure that you are maintaining your mental health. If you are someone who's really good with like productivity tips, like giving that. If you are someone who's like really tapped into like different resources that people could use and leverage, like sharing that. I tried to create different avenues for people to really like lean into their gifting, so that way the information can flow easy. So I'm looking for, yeah.
And so it does reentry organizations, educators, life coaches, motivational speakers.
Yes.
Videos.
Yes. So like I said, the videos are only like I think the max 3 minutes. And so it doesn't, now if you want to leave also like more than one video, that is completely completely fine as well. But the premise is to like get in, share like 1 or 2 like gems and some hot takes that people can like, after they hear, they're like, all right, that makes sense. I can do that today. That's the premise of it. At least like that's the beginning premise of it. Eventually in the future, hoping and praying and believing that I'll also be able to work with the same people to create like mini courses. So, in addition to receiving like daily motivation, for people who don't have access to like computers or don't have a whole bunch of money to take like these like really extravagant courses, or I think a lot of times too, some of those programs are like, I don't want to say lottery, but I think that's the word. Like you have to like apply to get in certain like programs to get certain access to information. And I appreciate the value in those programs, but that's not what I want to do. I want to make the information as accessible as possible. So it's like taking that information and creating bite-sized courses that people can take. So that way they can constantly like do like not professional, but personal and professional development on themselves and kind of keep track of their progress. So that would be the second leg of what we're doing. But I'm going to focus on just getting the messages first.
Right.
Priority.
Right. Yeah. You'll get the messages. Most definitely you'll get the message. I don't see no problem with you getting the message, because there's so many of us out here doing it. I think if you get people to do too, you get the messages in no time. I make videos and content all day, every day. That's what I do. I create content for institutions and for those people coming home. I got videos already that I can get to you, or you can get off my YouTube that you can most likely use as well. Another question is, before we wrap up, I always ask this question on the podcast. Each and every person I had on this podcast, I've asked. But before I ask this question, somebody coming out of prison right now, before I get to this last question, somebody coming out of prison right now, how do they get in the Welcm text stream?
That's a good question. So, and this is another thing I'm still thinking through. So, right now I'm partnering with reentry programs who already have people that they know are going to be like funneling into their programs. So working with them and making that just an extra like offering. So when you join us in this reentry program, you also have access to like sign up for these like text messages. So that is right now the primary way in which I'm getting people to sign up. And then the second, I guess like strategy that I'm trying to come up with is just creating content and sharing it with people on LinkedIn and sharing and saying like, hey, like if you know anybody who could use this information, like please share, or these like messages, please share this with them and tell them to sign up so that way they can receive it. So, and then eventually, I think I'll also just do like some regular. I need to tap into an actual marketing experience and do like paid ads and stuff like that. But right now, I'm trying to leverage the relationships with people who already have relationships with folks who are looking for the information as well. So I want to make sure it gets into the hands of folks who are like seeking the information and wanting to be accessible. So starting with reentry programs, and then reaching out to people who may have access to folks who are looking for the information. And then the third one would be just regular marketing.
All right. So then, well, my follow-up question to that would be: someone that's in prison might be watching this episode, and they about to get out, and they're like, man, I need to get on that. I need to get that. I need to get them messages. Or somebody's family member might be tuning in and saying, oh man, I got my son, he just got out, he needs that. Or my daughter just got out, they need that. How do they come? How do we get that? How do we get on the list?
That's a good question. So I have the website, which is Welcm, WELCM.co. And then if you go there, there's a tab that says New Neighbors. And that'll be for the people who are signing up to receive the messages. And that's another thing I guess I didn't explain. So I have two terms for how I talk about the Welcm community. One are our new neighbors. So people who are coming back into society, coming back into our neighborhoods. I actually want to like welcome them with open arms and consider them like my new neighbor. And with new neighbors, you take care of them, make sure they have what they need so they can acclimate into the community. So they would go to welcm.co and go to the new neighbors tab. And then for the people who actually leave the messages, I refer to them as my welcoming committee. And so they join the committee, leave the nice messages, and then they're part of a larger group of folks who are doing the work and are looking to partner and continue this like warm, welcoming experience for people.
Okay. And so my final question, in this process, in this journey, from the moment that you got the dream all the way up until now, if you had one word to describe that journey, what would that one word be and why?
I would say collaborative. Because I think I had to collaborate with God to make this happen. And in the process of collaborating with him, he led me to other people who gave me really good insights and advice and have just helped me like shape this to what it is. And I expect to continue that kind of like reciprocity. Like I give to them, they give to me, and we just kind of help each other along the way. And then just thinking about how I would love for Welcm to manifest is like people offering their advice and offering their insights and encouragement to folks. All those different people, they're collaborating in the vision to make it happen. And so at every single point, it allows me to not focus on myself and my vision, but it focuses on how this is the community's vision and how we're collaborating to make this like a reality, a more welcoming reality for everybody. And so I would say collaborative.
Okay. And so where can the people find you? How can they get in touch with you?
Yes, so they can find me. So they can find Welcm on welcm.co, WELCM.co, and then you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is mighty long, but Alexzandria Cormier-Hill, Alexzandria with the Z because my mom wanted to be special. And then Cormier-Hill, CORMIER-HILL. I am always down to like talk to new people, hear what they're doing. And then also my email address is alexzandria@welcm.co if they would like to reach me there.
Make sure y'all tap in with Alexzandria. I'm gonna start calling out a lot of reentry educators and a lot of people. You say that you're about the motivation, the uplifting, and helping those coming out of prison. I expect all of those that's in my circle, all of those I'm connected with, at least seeing one video. So that's my challenge for all of you, all of my reentry counterparts that's going to be tuning in, and when I chop it up, I'm gonna put it out there. So you gonna say I ain't get to see it because I'm gonna post it. So when I chop the video up and start making shorts, I'm gonna cut that apart up and make sure they get posted too. That's gonna be my challenge. That's my challenge to you all. I think I know enough of us. I done had 70 something guests, so 3 videos alone from them is 210. So at least, I think we can make it happen. I think there shouldn't be no way that it should happen. I think with Welcm, I think what you're doing, like I said earlier, is most needed, especially to be able to come out of prison and you have that message, and you know that someone's there that's going to have your back. Someone that's going to guide you in the right direction and things of that nature. And that's the most important thing, is to have that mentorship. I'd like to thank you for being a guest on the reentry journey. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if I can connect you and help you out in any way. I'm willing to do that because I'm glad that you said collaborative, because that's one of the biggest things that I'm about, bringing everybody together. I mean, we're all working towards the same goals and the same things. So any way that we can help each other out is most definitely that we need to come together and collaborate and to do that. So anything I can do and to help you out, be a voice. I'm gonna get you some videos. Like I said, I make videos and content all the time. I drop a video every morning. I might have some that you might like that I can make some more as well. So just let me know. I'll be willing to do that. Again, thank you for coming on the reentry journey. I appreciate your work and the efforts that you're doing, and I done said this already about 2 or 3 times, but I really mean anything that I can do to help push the movement, further the movement. Feel free to reach out and let me know.
I think you're already doing it. Like I said, I honestly would not have even been able to have the baseline information of what to do or what to look for had it not been for your podcast. It was literally the first podcast that I found. To just hear the different stories, and that really inspired me and pushed me to actually make this a thing and not just an idea. So thank you for all the work that you have put in, and also to all your guests who have been here before me, because their stories are inspirations themselves, and so it has really fueled me in the work that I'm doing. So I just thank you for even creating the platform and pushing through and making sure that you continue to put out really amazing and inspirational content. So
thanks a lot. I'm glad I could be of some inspiration. I really do. Well, this is another episode of the Reentry Journey. We'd like to thank our guest, Alexzandria Cormier-Hill, and an amazing work that she's doing over there at Welcm. Make sure that y'all go check Welcm out at www.welcm.co, not .com, .co. So,
yes.
Don't get on there and tell me, man, it ain't popping up. No, it's .co, not .com. So keep that in mind. And like I always tell you, for those on the inside, like I always say, don't let the limitation of your background reduce the height of your potential. Outgrow what you were born into. This is another episode of the Reentry Journey. I'm your host, Cardell Sims. And until next time, remember, you are greater than the situation that you're in. We are out.
Face card valid, she gon' slay it every time. Independent, on the grind. Yeah, all about her money, so she never got time. Shawty fresh, shawty fine. Yeah, face card valid, she gon' slay it every time. Independent, on the grind. Yeah, all about her money, so she never got time.
The reentry journey. What would be one word to describe this journey?
Heartache.
Enriching.
Gratitude.
Unapologeticness.
Hope.
Elevating. compassion.
Resilience.
I say transformation.
Determination.
Intention.
My word is compassion.
Rebirth.
Intentional.
It's bigger than just walking down your probation and parole. It's changing your mindset, lifestyle, and never returning to prison again. It's the reentry journey with Cardell Sims.